Hello, everybody. Today we are back at Ambassadors of Gaming with your kaiju loving and studying host, me, Adam. Why am I here today, you ask? Why is there another video from me? Well, today I'm here to ask you guys a question. And that question is, where is my Godzilla game? Like, where? The last one we got was in 2015. I want another Godzilla game. So I guess let me start this off with some background information on me, I suppose. I love Godzilla. It is one of my passions. Ever since I can remember, I've watched the movies, I've played with the toys, I've bought and worn the clothes. I even had Godzilla shoes at one point. And then, as I was growing up in my childhood, me and my friends, during the GameCube era, came across our first lump of gold. Godzilla Destroys All Monsters on the GameCube. That's when we were introduced to the lovely world of Godzilla games. I love to play these games, and I would play them for hours. I mean, after all, the best part about Godzilla is being Godzilla, and that's what these games let you do. These games let you be the kaiju, feel their destructive force and their awesome power as you destroyed cities and even fought other kaiju. I loved it. I loved it. It was euphoria for me, you know? So today I'm asking, once again, where's my Godzilla game? It's been 4 years, going on 5 years now, since I've had any taste of new Godzilla gaming. And, granted, most of the Godzilla games, they weren't that great, but, same thing with the movies. It's Godzilla. What do you expect? So let's go back to the beginning. Not the beginning of my story with Godzilla and his fighting games, but the first Godzilla fighting game. Way back in the year I was born, 1993. An arcade machine came out. A Godzilla arcade machine. Simplistic, 3 buttons and a joystick. But oh, it was the first Godzilla fighting game, and it was beautiful. Had a small cast of kaiju, about 6 you could choose from and fight with, and it would introduce the basic movements and movesets of these monsters over the course of the next several years of fighting games. It's when you got the Godzilla tail swip and the health bars and the energy meter that slowly refilled and charged and you could blast beam attacks with. And this is where it all started, the basic concepts of that Godzilla fighting game back here in 1993 on arcade systems. Before every fight in this game, if you played the single player story mode, of course, before the fights, you got a small little section of city or landscape for you to walk across, making your way to the fight area. Actually, this was all part of the fighting stage. But there would be, small buildings and military vehicles, and you get to destroy stuff as you're just walking past it, trying to get to the next monster to fight. Like in the movies, those buildings are nothing to Godzilla. The military vehicles, they're nothing to Godzilla. He just walks along, la-di-da-di-da, minding his own business till, oh, look, here's Ghidorah. Let's go rip off one of his heads now, And it was, at the time, it was a really good Godzilla experience. It was 1993. What really could they have done with it? It was beautiful, and it was the beginning. I might have said beginning too much during all that. But that's just where the Godzilla fighting game experience started. Now let me fast forward a couple years so I can catch up to my experiences in the games I've played with it. Because for the most part, most of these games are the same. They just slowly get better over time. Or worse. Depends on how you look at it. So starting off, I want to go and talk about Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee on the GameCube. That's the system I had it on, at least. It was beautiful. I remember when it first came out, the excitement I felt. I went and I gathered up my friends and I brought them over to my house and I said, guys, we're gonna fight each other as Godzilla monsters. And for the first time in the Godzilla fighting games, we were brought into a 3D world with 3D models and 3D monsters. You were placed in a cityscape with buildings that could be destroyed and picked up and thrown. And it was just truly, they were just trying to give you the Godzilla experience from the movies, but interactive. And it was fun. It was definitely a fun fighting game, and I loved it. They had power-ups in it you could go grab, like energy to make your energy gauge fill faster, rage to make your attacks stronger, even health pickups to heal you. There's also monster assist pickups, like you could get Mothra to come in and help you, or even Hedorah, the smog monster. But it was my first experience with playing a Godzilla game, and I played it for hours and hours, progressing through the levels, playing the story mode again and again and again, even as different monsters. But now let me move on to the next game on my list, Godzilla Save the Earth. Now this one I might not talk about for too long because it's the one I have the least amount of experience with. But I always wanted this game, but I was never able to get it. I did, however, rent it several times, so I did play it a lot. And it was slower than the Destroy All Monsters melee, and you could use your charge attacks more. It was easier in a way and more difficult in another way. Maybe it's just because I was a little kid at the time, but the graphics were, oh my god, the graphics were amazing compared to Destroy All Monsters melee. It was a massive jump. The 3D environments were about not the same, but the same gist of it, 3D cities with buildings you can walk through and destroy, knock over, throw. And you were just fighting other monsters. But Godzilla Save the Earth had this gimmick in the story mode where you had to protect certain things. Submarines, if I believe. I was going to look up information on Save the Earth, but I decided this segment was just me talking about my experiences with the games. So I decided to just stick with my experiences with it. It was submarines. I'm fairly certain that you had to protect, and I couldn't. The monsters I was trying to fight, I would always destroy something I wasn't supposed to, and game over. But the graphics were so much better on that one, and I really wish I would have gotten it to be able to play it more and learn a bit more. But let me move on to the next one down the line, Godzilla Unleashed. Now I had this on the Wii, not the best system to play a Godzilla game on, but still, nonetheless, this game was great. It was Destroy All Monsters melee again. It wasn't that difficulty spike they tried throwing in with Save the Earth. It wasn't, Godzilla Defender. It was just the world's in trouble. You had different classes of monsters to choose from. You had mutants, aliens, Earth Defenders, and you had the mechanical ones. I forget what they were called. But you would pick your kaiju and you'd play through story mode. One of the 4 groups you chose, didn't matter which group, it was pretty much the same story. The only thing that changed were what monsters you were fighting, what monsters were helping you. And this game, once again, had beautiful graphics like Save the Earth. And it had power-ups in there, but the power-ups this time, instead of icons, came in the form of crystals. It's generally the same power-ups, just in a more crystallized form, because that was the whole gimmick of this game, I guess you could say. The whole story of the game was kind of centered around Space Godzilla, so it was a lot about those crystals. But it was just like Godzilla Melee, but more advanced and better. As the years went on, we just kept getting these Godzilla fighting games, and they were all pretty much the same for the most part. Slight changes here and there. Same gist though. The experience of giving you that Godzilla film action in your hands. But not quite. It was still just a fighting game. Until 2015, when on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3 in Japan, I think 2014 in Japan as well, but a Godzilla game just titled Godzilla came out on the PlayStation 4, and I didn't know about it. And eventually I heard about it and I learned about it, and aside from the negative reviews, I decided, being a die-hard Godzilla fan, I needed to get the game and play it for myself. I needed to judge the game myself. And oh my god, right off the bat, I could tell these controls were terrible. very clunky. It's little tank controls. If you wanted to turn left or right, you had to hit the bumpers. But playing the game with these not so great controls, I noticed the beauty of it. And because of this control scheme and the way it was set up, your monsters on screen moved just like they did in the movies. Even the buildings would flash right before they exploded like in the movies. This game was truly meant to mimic that movie experience and give it to you. Even so to the point that it wasn't truly a fighting game. It was a destruction game. Godzilla's placed in a city. He has to destroy the buildings to grow bigger. The more you destroy, the bigger you get. Your ultimate goal is to destroy these generators. That's when you beat the level, after you destroy the generators. However, if a human specialty military vehicle shows up, or another kaiju shows up while you're doing this, you have to fight them and destroy them before the level will end. You got to defend your territory. And it was truly the Godzilla movies in the palm of my hands. Granted, still terrible controls. I kind of wish they would have stuck to how it was before, but it was beautiful. I was playing the movies myself. I was in control of what Godzilla did. If he was a benevolent monster that tried to keep destruction to a minimum and save the world, or if I was this bloodthirsty menace from the depths of the ocean only out to destroy humanity and get his revenge. It was up to me. How did I want Godzilla to play? And of course you could play as a variety of other monsters, just like in the other fighting games. But let's be honest, you come to a Godzilla game to play as Godzilla. Now, so far, all you guys really heard is me ramble on about how much I love Godzilla and talk a little bit about some of the games. But now let me tell you why. Why should we get another Godzilla game? Well, granted, there aren't too many Godzilla fans out there, but we're out there. And we need to stick together, we need to become strong, we need to speak loud and clearly and let our voices be heard. Godzilla fans, band together, tell them you want another game. I mean, look at it. Straying from topic here. In America, we wrote a petition for them to port the Digimon games over to us because they stopped. And through this petition, we actually got those games back. So Godzilla fans, if you really want another Godzilla game, let's all band together, find one another, and speak up. Tell them we want it. Let them know it is something that we want and will pay for. But why? Why should they do it aside from us, the fans, wanting it? Well, let's look at it. You had back in, I think, 2014, 2015, that Godzilla movie, that American Godzilla movie with the Mutos. I love that movie. Granted, a lot of people didn't like it that much because it didn't show enough Godzilla. But hey, to that I say, go watch the original Godzilla. Tell me how much Godzilla's in that movie.
We have Godzilla that came out recently. We have Kong, Skull Island that's come out recently. And we are just sitting here on the release of Godzilla, King of the Monsters. It's been in theaters for a while now. I'm waiting for it to come out on Blu-ray. Cannot wait for it. Definitely buying it when it comes out. But we have all this hype generated from these movies. They announced the next one, Godzilla vs. Kong. Even after that, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. Like, they're building this monster universe. They're hyping us up. They're getting us pumped. We are so excited. That's another reason for a Godzilla game. It will help build up the hype. Maybe wait until closer to when Kong comes out. What better time to release a fighting game than when a fighting movie is coming out? But let's go reasons why. Spoiler warning, I guess, if you haven't seen the newest Godzilla movie.
King of the Monsters had brand new kaiju in it. It didn't just have old kaiju remade. It had brand new kaiju. Scylla, Methuselah, Behemoth. Brand new kaiju. The movie even went into detail as to say that there were
17 others besides Godzilla that we knew of. You've created new kaiju that no one's ever seen or heard of before. And now, me being a Godzilla fan who's played the past Godzilla games, and I've pretty much played as almost every kaiju out there that you've given to me to play as, at least. Now there's brand new kaiju. I want to play as those. I want to see what kind of damage and carnage Behemoth can cause with his tusks. I want to see the mountainous Methuselah just truck through a city. I want to fight as these new kaiju. So we have, fans out here. We have the hype from the new movies. We have new content and new kaiju to explore with. Not only that, but technologies in video games have grown. And I'm just interested to see what new twists and spins they can throw onto a Godzilla fighting game. So, I've asked where. And I've told you why. But now let's move on to the what. What would I like to see in a future Godzilla fighting game? Well, as beautiful as those terrible controls of the last game made the game play out to move just like the movies, I would rather go back to the days of Melee and Unleashed with the faster moving monsters and the more fluid controls, That, and let's be honest, the newest Godzilla game doesn't really have a block button in it. And how do you have a fighting game without a block button? Granted, it's not a true-to-form fighting game. But I would like to see a block button for one. I'd like to see them go back to the fluid, not clunky movements. The power-ups can stay out, or you can bring them back in. It doesn't really make a difference to me. Maybe make an option to turn them on or off if you want. Power-ups always lead to fun in fighting games, especially when you make the game more fast-paced. But I want to see the destruction levels, about the same from the most recent one. Buildings flashed and blew up in the old Godzilla movies. I want to see, destruction level like that. Maybe the destruction level, if you're playing as the older monsters, maybe that's what the destruction looks like. If you knock down a building, it flashes and then explodes. Or maybe if you're playing with one of the new monsters, maybe it'll go with a more newer just building exploding, Kind of draw from the movies these monsters all came from. And speaking of the monsters, I want to see a huge cast. I want to see your favorite monsters from back in the day. I want to see all the different versions of Godzilla. I want Shin Godzilla. I want Godzilla 1965. I want Godzilla 2000. I want the new American Godzilla. It would be nice to see even Zilla in the game, but let's be honest, that's one of the worst. Just a huge selection of monsters, new and old. And I want to see King Kong in the game. He's drawn into the MonsterVerse now. He's a part of what this new stuff going on is. So let's bring King Kong into this game. I want to play a Godzilla fighting game where I can reenact Godzilla vs. Kong. I want to see the military in this game. I want to see tanks driving around shooting at me. I want to see cop cars blocking off streets. I want to see jets and helicopters flying through the air. I want Tango 1 to come after me. I want the vehicles from the newer movies in there coming after me. Just a mixture from all the different timelines of military personnel and vehicles. Just put these in the game, not as enemies, but as just nuisances, obstacles. Maybe while you're fighting another monster, Tango shows up. Tango Alpha shows up. And you gotta fight that thing and the monster, or maybe it's helping you fight the monster. Maybe that's another thing. Maybe the game changes depending on how you play as your monster and what monster you choose. Maybe as the game goes on, each monster is to be programmed for the computer people to act a certain way towards. Like, some monsters are viewed as heroes, other monsters are viewed as villains, and some monsters are just viewed as animals. But depending on how you play the game, that viewpoint can change. Story mode wise, do we really need that intense of a story for a Godzilla fighting game? If they want to give us a good story, that's cool, that's awesome. I'm for it. I'm completely for it. But if they don't want to give us an overextensive story, that's fine too. Like I said, I really just want a fighting game. And fighting games aren't all about the single player. It's about playing with your friends, playing with people online. You know, give me some skills and some traits that are equipable and upgradable to place on these monsters. Some slight minor customizations to just slightly alter every monster to more fit your playstyle. Make online matches more exciting and fun. I'm playing Godzilla, he's playing Godzilla, but both of our Godzillas, they're a little bit different because we personalized them to our playstyles. There's just so much you can do with a Godzilla fighting game. And it doesn't have to be the best game ever. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to make the most money or be a bestseller. It just has to be a good, decent Godzilla game that people are willing to have fun with. And if you can make the game fun enough, I don't imagine that other people wouldn't buy it. But I've gone on ranting about this long enough, and I've taken up enough of your guys' day. So let me just close it out on this note and leave you guys with one final, where is my Godzilla video game?